So the ship is finally in sight for Sanji. And that means that we're about to finally be done with this arc, Whole Cake Island. But I want to point out something, okay? This is chapter 898, so most likely, if I had to assume anything, next chapter we probably won't see Sanji officially get on the boat. And here is why. When you look at this chapter, the structure of it, it's Sanji seeing each individual one of his siblings jump in, help him out, and get him closer to the Sunny. And if you notice, you don't see Judge. You don't see Sanji's father at all in this chapter. Now, I know there's a lot of bad blood between Sanji and his father. We all know this. But even then, though, it's still, the reason why Germa's here is to, help out the Straw Hats, settle the score with Big Mom, and, kind of, help out Sanji too, since he saved all of them too. And so Judge, most likely we're going to probably have a Judge scene. Before everything is said and done, I can definitely see Judge popping up and probably saving Sanji in some way, or doing something that, is kind of like saying he needs to uphold his side. For instance, repay Sanji for what he has done. And so I can see Judge popping up in the next chapter to help Sanji get onto the Sunny. I just see something like that happening, because like I said, Judge wasn't in this chapter, but we saw all the others. And we know the fleet is attacking all that, the shoreline. Judge could potentially be there, but I feel like Judge most likely is going to have a role to play before everything is said and done. So I believe next chapter might focus more on Judge and Sanji than anything else, and then have him finally get on the ship and then, part ways and leave Whole Cake Island. But okay, with that being said though, let's talk about something that I know many are discussing when it comes to the latest chapter of One Piece, and that is, it's out in the open now. Everybody now knows that Luffy beat Katakuri. And even though my personal viewpoint on the overall fight, I think Katakuri just gave up. He's like, you know what, I'm just done. He fell backwards and let Luffy, win in that moment. Regardless of however you want to view the fight, I don't care however you want to view it. Luffy won, Luffy lost, whatever it may be. All I can say is, though, is that it's out in the air now that Katakuri basically fell on his back and Luffy walked out of the mirror. And this does mean that with this being public knowledge now with Big Mom's crew, that many might find out about this in the world. For instance, since, Big News is here, big news, he might say something about Katakuri getting defeated, and this could potentially increase Luffy's bounty. Now, I know for a fact that it's a lot harder. Just to remind everybody, it's a lot harder to make your bounty go higher up once you get to this point in the series, or with that type of bounty, where Luffy's is at and all that. It's very hard to get your bounty higher and higher. And the only reason why your bounty would get higher is if you're that big of a threat to the world government, which was why Jack had such a crazy bounty, was because of what he was or what he did. And so when you look at Katakuri, he has a very high bounty from what we have seen. And if the world finds out that Luffy was able to go in and take out Katakuri, that is obviously feared, and Big Mom's, second in command, then obviously his bounty is probably going to jump up. And here's the topic I want to discuss with all of you. How far, or how high, do you think Luffy's bounty is going to go after this arc? Unless we don't get a bounty update until after Wano. That could potentially happen, because with the whole Reverie and stuff going on, and, One Piece verse to Wano about to happen, and Luffy about to go up against Kaido and stuff, I mean, we might not even have a bounty update until the Reverie is over. That's a potential possibility. But even then, though, let's just say after this arc, okay? Let's just do a hypothetical if Luffy got a bounty update after this arc. Where do you think he necessarily would stand? Like, where do you think his bounty would necessarily be? Personally, I'd say, right now, he's at 500. I would say Luffy being around, I'd say 800 maybe, 700, 800. I feel like that would be fine. I know Katakuri's over 1 billion, but I just believe Luffy shouldn't really jump up that high. Because once again, bounties don't necessarily mean power level. Bounties mean you know, their threat to the world government. And so if they were to see Luffy just defeat Katakuri, they might put him higher than Katakuri just because they think Luffy's that big of a threat, but I don't think Luffy probably is at that point to where he should be over a billion berry bounty. That's just my personal opinion. So I'm just asking you guys, where do you think he's going to be after this arc? You know, let me know in the comments below. But okay, so talking about the chapter in general, it's a very simple chapter. It's mainly just Sanji getting help from his family. That's the entirety of this chapter, what it's about, and also the reveal of Katakuri, you know, how he was defeated. That's basically it. And so, in the grand scheme of things, this was a very short and simple chapter. Does not mean it's a bad chapter, by the way. Just because it's short and simple does not always mean it's horrible. It just, I could see many not liking this chapter because it felt like maybe it was dragging in some ways, or maybe it just felt like useless panels or something. I could see many saying something like this. Personally, I don't think that, but I could see why many would say that just because of how the whole situation with Sanji's family was done in this chapter, and just showcasing, you know, how they're helping him out, and that's it, just pushing him over to the Sunny. But think about it like this, okay? With Sanji getting help from his family and him finally getting to the Sunny, that does mean that we're getting closer and closer to the Wano arc. Just think about that, okay? So, I'm pretty hyped up to know that, you know, it's basically over. The Whole Cake Island arc is done at this point because the Sunny's there and Germa's handling it, and I don't think any of the Germa's probably going to die. I highly doubt that. If there's anyone that's going to die on the Germa side, it would definitely have to be Judge. He's the only character in Germa 66 I could see dying for Sanji or any of the Straw Hats because of just how he is as a person. Maybe to his final act to redeem himself, he sacrifices himself for Sanji and his family. I could see that, but I highly doubt that's probably gonna happen. I'm just saying, if there's any deaths gonna happen for the Germa to, you know, get Straw Hats out, is just Judge, you know, Sanji's father. So, anyways, besides all of that, that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, it's simple, but it's good. Artwork-wise, I do want to talk about the artwork for a second. So, artwork, I do think that the artwork was on point. I especially love certain panels like this one here that we had in this chapter. I love Oven's panels. I mean, I've grown quite fond of his character. I mean, I didn't really like him at first when he was first introduced in this arc. He was cool and all, like his ability and stuff. It just, I didn't think he was, like, amazing. And after really getting to see him in combat, you know, and all that, I have to say, I really have grown quite fond of his character. And I do hope that this isn't really the last time I get to see him in One Piece once we leave this arc. Because, I mean, yeah, I just hope he isn't a character that's just going to pop up very little, and then that's basically it. I do hope he becomes relevant more in the future. But yeah, I want to end it here. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you feel about this week's chapter of One Piece? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Please be honest in the comments below. And if you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. And if you like this video, you know, leave a like. And please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button down below. And with that, I love you guys. Please be safe. Chibi out.